Oh, Merry Christmas, right? Christmas Eve. Disappointment from the Denver Broncos. Oh, my God. Lots to get to in this conversation. Let's talk about it. Because the Broncos lose to the New England Patriots on Christmas Eve. 26-23, the final score. They fight back in almost impossible fashion to tie things up. They get the ball back, and the team falls short. Cecil Lammey here on a December 24th evening. I hope y'all still have a really good Christmas. Let's talk about this thing, and let's get into this conversation. Very disappointed in the way this team played early. The third quarter woes of this team leading to the big third quarter, 20-point third quarter for the New England Patriots, 26-23, the final score. So you can see what happened there. Incredibly disappointed in the play calling. And incredibly disappointed in what Sean Payton put out there for most of this game. So let's talk about this situation and welcome into the conversation, because now they're probably not going to the postseason. Now you have to consider just benching Russell Wilson for the rest of the year, because you do not want him to get hurt. What happens if he gets hurt in the next two games is you owe him that $37 million. I don't think anybody wants that. So yeah, this just opened up a whole can of worms, whole lot of lumps, whole can of worms for the Denver Broncos here as we get into this conversation. And again, having done the pregame show, now doing the postgame show, knowing what was on the line for this team in terms of the postseason, and then seeing this, I've said it before, and it still rings true. I said if they don't make the postseason, I won't be angry, because of the turnaround that they've made, of the progress that we've seen from the Denver Broncos. But I got to tell you, I'm kind of getting angry. I'm kind of getting pissed off about this team, because it was right there. And the things that work for you can work if you just call them. The Detroit game was a failure on offense and defense. It was a failure on the execution of the players. It was a failure on Sean Payton and his game plan. His game plan against the Lions was terrible. The game plan against the New England Patriots was equally terrible, except for the fourth quarter. Like, all the stuff that you've done with Russell Wilson, and now, again, the future of Russell Wilson hinged on them making the postseason. The future of Russell Wilson, this team, seems more shaky than ever before, than anything possible right now, because of this performance. And the thing is, like, had you done what you did in the fourth quarter and calling those plays, when you get the ball back with 1:30 left and all you need is a field goal, it's tied up. And if you don't get a field goal, you go to overtime, and then anything can happen. But what you get is a crappy screen pass call that everybody could see coming. Everybody knew Samaje Perine was going to get it. And then another crappy pass call. Like, you just had the worst time to have the breakdown after you had started calling plays and allowing the pocket to be moved, allowing Russell Wilson to throw on the run, everything that he can do. Okay? Because I'm sick and tired of the Russell Wilson can't do. Yeah, okay, yes. All right? They're running a flipping high school offense. Okay? And the play calling, for the most part, was not good. It got better. But you saw it. I seen it. We all saw it. You saw in the fourth quarter what they could have been doing the whole God blessed time. I'll try not to cuss. It's Christmas Eve. And I don't want corporate to send me an email, but like, I'm seriously pissed off because it was right there. I'm seriously upset because it was right there for this team, and they just let it slip away. And it's like, you see the fight. You see the fight in Jerry Jeudy. I know. Everybody hates him. He didn't get a catch until 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And then he started balling. Brandon Johnson with a drop, but then he scored a touchdown. Lucas Kroll making plays. Like, guys having that effort. You get Courtland Sutton knocked out when he hits the ground, a possible concussion, whatever we have to call it now. Jill McLaughlin banged up. Rich Eisen mispronouncing his name all the damn time. Like, come on. And it's not Vance Johnson's defense. Anyway, I'm in a mood. It's Christmas Eve. I want to be in a good mood. I was expecting the Broncos to put me in a good mood. And this one's just disappointing. I mean, had they not made the comeback, you could say, wow, you know, an average to below average team just whooped you in your own place. And, you know, you couldn't do anything about it. One of those days, I mean, just falling apart. Team didn't believe, team didn't back it up, but they did make the comeback. But then to have it in the hands of your offensive genius play caller, Sean Payton, and then to call a stupid screen pass to Samaje Perine, which was completely obvious, and then the rest of the garbage plays that didn't work. A minute and a half. It was working with Russ. You were letting him throw down the field. It was working with Jerry Jeudy. Run after the catch. I mean, Jeudy has some skill. Y'all may hate him. I get it. Whatever. He's got some skill. You can see it. But Sean Payton's game plan, I'm not saying he did this on purpose, but it's almost like he's teasing us because Russ can do more than what you're allowing him to do. Russ isn't perfect. Russ isn't the best. I understand now the narrative will be to hate Russ more. Okay, but what's the truth? That's all I care about. Okay? There's opinions, and trust me, I have plenty of opinions. And then there's the truth. There's the facts. And the truth of the matter is Russell Wilson can still make plays. You can go to the playoffs with Russell Wilson. If your coach calls the plays for him, he can't do certain things. He certainly can't run sail concepts. He has struggle throwing screen passes at times, although you saw more screens today, and it kind of worked for a while. But you can make plays with him when you allow him to throw on the run. He's not going to be a precision pocket guy, step back and fire it accurately and read the whole field. He's not going to do any of that, which is kind of problematic. But what do you want in this league? You want to be trotting out your Mason Rudolphs? I know the Steelers won, but still, like, look at all of these other teams in situations where, hey, Russell Wilson would be an upgrade for him. And here in Denver, the coach doesn't want to call plays that'll clearly work, except he calls them a little bit. Russ does it, and then they goes into a shell. Like, Sean Payton gets tight. How's that possible? How does Sean Payton get nervous and get this tightness about his play calling? Baby, you're playing with house money. It's your first year as the Broncos head coach. I would imagine you have many more years to come. You can do anything in this first year. You can even make the postseason, but go down swinging. Don't go down with these stupid screen passes that everybody knows coming. Don't do that at all. Don't do it whatsoever, one bit at all. Like, call plays that your quarterback can stink and run, because he can run certain plays, and we saw it in the fourth quarter. The rest of the game, garbage game plan. You saw a little bit more of Jill McLaughlin. That was good. Javonte seemed to have a little bit of a spring in his step. That was good. But Russell Wilson has been completely handcuffed by Sean Payton. I want to say neutered by Sean Payton. Like, he doesn't trust him. Okay, fine. Sean, we get it. He can't run what Drew Brees ran, but he can run other stuff. And again, it's on Russ to read the field and make the plays, and then it's on the players to make the catches and make run after the catch like Jerry Jeudy did. This is all corrupt. This is all a bad fit. Because Sean Payton clearly doesn't want Russell Wilson as his quarterback. We get it. Sean, okay, enough, buddy. You're not going to make the postseason now. Most likely. Anything's possible, Kevin Garnett, whatever. But, like, yeah, so you said it yourself. You would be pissed off if you didn't make the postseason. You're going to make the postseason running stupid screen passes to Samaje Perine with the game on the line. And you can't even use up the time of possession. You had a minute and a half. They had what? One timeout because of challenge on the Marvin Mims play, which was clearly a catch. I'm glad it was upheld as a catch. But, like, you had a minute and a half. You certainly could have used time up, not give him any time. It's Bailey Zappi just beat you. Don't get me started on Pat Surtain. I'm going to get there. Devontae Parker on a fade stop. It's a ballsy flipping play call. And you know what I want to say. It was a ballsy play call. Belichick, you got some onions, man. Because on a 3rd and 3, when you're playing for overtime, I mean, it basically looked like they were playing for overtime. They were just, short stuff to Zeke, whatever. They didn't want to push it. And then on 3rd and 3, you're essentially playing cover 0. You're giving the illusion of playing cover 0. And then to run a fade stop to Parker on the outside against Pat Surtain. Surtain, that's what you're paid for. And Devontae Parker's a good veteran. I don't want anyone to be like, oh, Parker's some slappy. No, Parker's a good veteran. I mean, he's got Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi throwing him the ball, okay? So whatever his statistical production is, like, I'm not going to point to Devontae Parker. I'll say he's like an average vet. This isn't someone with incredible skill or speed. Let's say it was a veteran like Brandon Cooks, right? We saw him catch that touchdown in the game against the Dolphins. Cowboys wide receiver. Used to play for Sean Payton. Probably doesn't like Sean Payton. That's just a guess. I totally don't know that for a fact, but I would guess that Brandon Cooks and a lot of former Saints don't like Sean Payton. That's a whole other story. But at least with Brandon Cooks, he's flipping fast. Parker is nuanced in what he does. Okay, so again, he's not some slappy, but he's also not like this outstanding receiver. He's like, okay, he's okay. Devontae Parker's okay, and Pat Surtain, you just got. Shut down corner, you just got. And that happens, but it's happening too often. Amon-Ra St. Brown gets him. You go, okay, it's the sun god. It's the Lions. They're high-powered. You can't get to Jared Goff. Devontae Parker gets you when Bailey Zappi is the quarterback and you're also sending the house or giving the illusion of sending the house. Like, you were putting pressure on Zappi. He threw it up on a fade stop, and it was a perfect call, a perfect play, perfect execution. But Surtain, perfect Surtain, not so perfect. That's what you're paid to do. Yes, the play call was perfect. Yes, Bill Belichick just flopped out the stones and said, here you go. Look at him, everybody. Look at the glory of my onions. I'll show you what I can do on a 3rd and 3. We're not playing for overtime. We're playing for the win. But to make that throw and a perfect play call and a good throw from Zappi, I'll make fun of Zappi all the time. So I'm at the Shrine Bowl, and I was just like, yeah, he's not the guy. He's better than Mac Jones, but still, he's not the guy. Anyway, so you had an average or to below average quarterback throw it up in a good throw on a ballsy play call on a 3rd and 3 on a fade stop to Pat Surtain. I don't care how perfect that is. I don't care how perfect the throw is. I don't care that you got a hand in. You are paid to make that stop. When I bring up Champ Bailey had a bad game against Terrell Owens when he was with the Eagles. I believe Donovan McNabb was the quarterback at the time. That's Terrell Owens. He's a Hall of Famer. Champ Bailey also had a bad game against Chad Johnson. Chad Johnson was a perennial Pro Bowl player. Devontae Parker's a guy. Again, Amon-Ra St. Brown gets you. That's one thing. Devontae Parker gets you on a must-win situation. This is a failure from Marvin Mims on special teams. This is a failure from Pat Surtain defensively. Like, that's the play, dude. If you go back, if you make that play, if Surtain makes that play, you can go back and say, that's my dude. That's my dog, right? I feel like Smokey on Friday, right? That's my dog. Like, yeah, that's what you do. If you make that play, you'd be like, what's he doing on a 3rd and 3 trying to throw at Surtain? Get that nonsense out of here. But then you don't make the play. I still believe Pat Surtain is among the best corners in the league. This play does not change that. But, dude, you got to make those plays. You got to know it's coming. Because Parker, and all due respect to Demario Douglas, the rookie that I saw again at the Shrine Bowl, but just this past year, not 2 years ago like Zappi, but like Demario Douglas is fine, but you got by Devontae Parker. I can make the argument that Douglas is better than Parker. Now, Parker's again an aged veteran. But like, that's what you are paid to make plays for. That's what'll get you that crazy cornerback money. Those are the type of plays. Why aren't you making those plays? And that's a one-on-one. That's a mano-a-mano. Don't give me Vance Joseph. Although, probably just move on from Vance Joseph. I don't care how much players like him. It's a results-based business. Bailey Zappi just got you. The team had scored 20 or more points, I believe, 3 times this season. I'll look it up. They scored 20 points in the third quarter. So I know people like to make fun because I said after the Dolphins game, Vance Joseph would get fired. Well, maybe he just should have been. And again, I'm not upset overall because they're not going to make the postseason now. But the way, what's most disgusting is it was right there for them. And they have talent. Again, blaming the weapons for Russell Wilson's poor play is weak sauce. They have weapons. The plays need to be designed better and then need to be executed better by Russell Wilson. People don't like to hear it, but it's both. They're both at fault. Sean Payton's at fault because he doesn't trust Russ and doesn't want to call anything for Russ. And Russ is at fault because he can't run what Sean Payton wants him to run. And then when they put the game in his hands, he's failed. They put the game in his hands against Houston. 3 picks. And I don't even blame him for those 3 picks because then play calling, tipped, and then last play of the game. Whatever. They put it in his hands against Detroit with a lousy game plan. Note the words, lousy game plan. And they fail. Tonight, they have to make a comeback. They're not built to make comebacks, but they put it in Russ's hands and he succeeds until the coach gets tight. This is a failure of Sean Payton. Russell Wilson's going to get the blame. Russell Wilson's going to get the blame, and whether or not we see him start, because you're not making the postseason and, getting hurt would cost you a lot of money. The decision on Russell Wilson's essentially done tonight. I do not believe that even 2 games, even if he has 400 yards passing in each game against the Chargers and the Raiders, I don't think that saves his job. I think tonight it was on the line. And when it was on the line, Sean Payton let Russell Wilson down. Think about that. And again, I don't think Sean Payton would sabotage his own quarterback. But I also know that he didn't set up his own quarterback to make plays. Yes, Sean, you may not want to go forward with Russell Wilson. Yes, Sean, Russell Wilson cannot run your offense true to design. But that doesn't mean Russell Wilson's some slappy. Look at what the Steelers did with Mason Rudolph, who's not good at football at all. Look at what the Browns are doing with Joe Flacco. Amari Cooper, and remember, I've said Jerry Jeudy should be treated like Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper had 270 yards receiving today with Joe Flacco throwing in the ball. All these garbage quarterbacks, as Mason Rudolph was the 58th different starting quarterback this year in the NFL, all these garbage quarterbacks, you mean to tell me that Russell Wilson isn't better than a lot of these garbage quarterbacks out there that are making plays and being productive because their play callers are going, hey, Joe Flacco can't really do a whole lot, but this is what he can do, so let's do that. Amari Cooper is a slant god. And then once in a while, those slants turn into 75-yard gains because after the catch. And you saw a dash of it with Jerry Jeudy. The play where you give the little dead leg, he cuts back inside and then runs out of bounds. Like, Jerry Jeudy has skill. I know he's a headache, and I know he was dancing behind Steve Smith, and I know that, he's been largely embarrassing with his play. But how in the hell does Justin Outen and Jerry Rosberg figure out Jerry Jeudy in the last month of last year's season, and Sean Payton can't? And Sean Payton loves him. We're going to blame Russ? Again, this is more nuanced than just the blame Russ crowd, right? Blame Russ. It's all right. Oh, Russ sucks. Oh, it's Russ's fault. Russ is not perfect. Russ is not great anymore, but Russ is still good enough to win these type of games with. And the Patriots had been in 10, now 11 one-score games. They are now 3-8 in those one-score games. They were 2-8 before tonight. So I will say the Patriots are an average at best team who have been on the wrong side of one-score games. They play sound defensively. Zappy does play a little bit of hero ball, but that's all on the film. Again, back to the Surtain play, like it's 3rd and 3. It looks like they're playing for overtime. Somebody's got to tell these guys, like, hey, watch. They're going to take a shot, especially when you show cover 0. They're going to take a shot. It's I hate this comparison, but it rings true. Somebody does that to you in Madden. What are you going to do? Just throw it up. May not be a fade stop, but you're going to throw it up, try to get a pass interference, try to get something. 3rd and 3. What are you going to do? Hand off? If you were Sean Payton on a 3rd and 3 with the game on the line, you'd call a stupid screen pass to Samaje Perine that wouldn't work. Just the whole reaction when you get that, you fight back. And that's the thing. That's where the frustration comes in, because they fought hard. They fought back. They showed heart and everything that you wanted. You heard the boos raining down, maybe boos in the stadium as well as the fans boozing it up, because the way this team was playing for most of this game. And the 4th quarter, they turn it around, they turn it on, they go for it. And then when you get the ball back and all you need is a field goal, your play caller, Sean Payton, fails your quarterback. Russell Wilson will get the blame for this. And this will be the game that will be remembered as the final straw in the Russell Wilson era. I don't even care if he starts the next 2 games. Starts the next 2 games, doesn't start the next 2 games. None of that matters. This game will go down as a failure on Russell Wilson, and it's actually a failure on Sean Payton. And that's what it is. And it's sad to think, because they always say, be careful what you wish for. They often say the grass is greener. Grass isn't always greener on the other side. Sean Payton clearly doesn't want Russell Wilson. Okay. But next year, when you're trotting out Kyler Murray, now a rookie would be exciting, especially if it's a Sean Payton quarterback, if it's Jaden Daniels or whatever. Okay. If the Broncos are capable of getting in the place where they can get a top 3 quarterback, and may have to move into the top 10 to do that, and top 10 might not even be high enough, might not even be high enough for Jaden Daniels. But if the Broncos could do that, then that's exciting. That's different. And as I've often said when asked, I think it was on Coffee Break, like, Russell Wilson get a quarterback next year. Well, he'll get his quarterback. But be careful what you wish for. The stupid Russell Wilson contract complicates this whole thing. If Russ didn't have that stupid payday where his 2025 salary was guaranteed on the 5th day of the new league year in 2024, it's excellently written contract, except unless you're the Broncos, because it sucks for them, because now you got to pay a bunch of money to get rid of him if that's in fact what you do. But this game will go down as a failure for Russ, and Russ did fail in certain moments. But to me, it goes down as a failure for Sean Payton because of the stubbornness to not do what your quarterback can do, because of the nervousness that he got as a play caller when you get the ball back with a minute and a half left and you call some garbage screen pass to Samaje Perine. I bitched about it 4 times now in 24 minutes. YouTube, don't demonetize this video because I used a curse word. I've used a couple of curse words. I'm trying to hold back. I'm trying to maintain my composure. And again, it's Christmas Eve. Damn it, I wanted a Merry Christmas. Broncos, you give me a lump of coal. This is what happens. This is what happens when your coach doesn't believe in your quarterback and he starts calling up high school plays for your quarterback. Your quarterback can do more. Your quarterback can't do everything. Your quarterback is limited. He is limited. Somebody's tweeting at me, he's dangerous. No, he's not dangerous. He's an average to above average starter with plenty of experience. So, as I've often said on this show, on other shows, Russell Wilson can be special in moments. You had, and I almost tweeted it out, although again, Twitter's only 4% of our audience and it's largely useless. Don't put a lot of stock in summer stock. Don't put a lot of stock in the fact that I've got a bunch of Twitter followers. Nobody cares. But I almost put it out there via social networking, like, with a minute and a half left, Russ, if you win this, they'll love you forever, man. And that's probably what upsets me the most is I know, and I was out there amongst y'all. I was at Mile High Station before the game, right? Talked to dozens upon dozens of Broncos fans. And if Russ would have led the comeback, and even if it was a Will Lutz field goal, right, to win this thing, it's 26-23, Broncos win. Let's go Broncos. Merry Christmas. Even if that was the case, like if Russ wins that game, every Broncos fan remembers this. You remember when the Broncos were down to the Patriots and Russ brought them back? Every Broncos fan would remember this and they'd love him forever. Well, maybe not forever, but still, like, it was one of those moments where it's like, that's a special moment. Russ can be special in moments, and that moment was custom made for Russell Wilson, and his coach crapped the bed. I'd said on the pregame show, Russ wets the bed. It's a scouting term. Don't get upset. Trigger warning. Russ wetting the bed. It's a scouting term. You feel pressure when it's not there. You see ghosts. Is that less triggering? Like, Russell Wilson had been seeing ghosts at times this year. Most of the sacks that have been had against Russell Wilson are on him. And I don't care if you don't like Pro Football Focus. Every team in the league pays hundreds of thousands of dollars for Pro Football Focus's data. So you may hate it, and you may hate nerds and pocket protectors and glasses with tape. But the NFL pays a lot of money, and a lot of customers pay a lot of money. Not what the NFL pays, but there's a lot of money paid to Pro Football Focus for these numbers. Most 75% of the sacks are Russell Wilson's fault, not the offensive line's fault. So there's a few misconceptions we have to clean up here. One, the offensive line sucks. Well, they're not great, but they're better than you think. Garett Bolles better than you think. Quinn Minor's better than you think. Lloyd Cushenberry, Ben Powers. Mike McGlinchey's pretty rough. He's a little banged up, but he's had better seasons before. But he also was kind of known for this type of play. So McGlinchey's play isn't necessarily shocking. If you were familiar with his play from San Francisco, it's kind of who he is. And you get well paid for being that. But he's their worst lineman. Best lineman to talk to, but he's their worst lineman. But it's like, Russ would be great if the offensive line didn't stink. Well, the offensive line doesn't stink. Russ runs into pressure a lot of the times. Russ runs out of pressure. It's the whole water boy thing, right? I see a lot of guys. I see a lot of girls too. Like, yeah, Russ runs into pressure. Russ runs out of pressure. Pat Ewing, we make a lot of money because we spend a lot of money. Whatever. Like, that's Russell Wilson. You kind of have to take that as part of his game, and Sean Payton doesn't want it. So the misconception about the offensive line, nope. The misconceptions about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson can be special in moments, and with a minute and a half left, that's a Russell Wilson moment. That's when the pressure becomes on you, Sean Payton, to call a better game plan, to call a better group of plays, even if that first play doesn't work. 5 times. The crappy screen pass to Samaje Perine. Even if that doesn't work, you have to have a better plan. Be like, here, but by stick and move, right? Be like Kyle Shanahan, have multiples on the multiples. Or Mike McDaniel, right? And Sean Payton should be as good, if not better, than both of those gentlemen, especially McDaniel because he's such a young coach. Kyle doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. Probably going to get the one this year. At least we can hope. If you're a Broncos fan and your Broncos aren't going to make the postseason, and because they're in the NFC, I think it's okay for you to root for the 49ers. Hell, they got Christian McCaffrey. Who doesn't love Valor's finest? And then, of course, they got Kyle Shanahan, who I'll love. So, yeah, root for Kyle to get his first Super Bowl. But where's Sean Payton's creativity? And I know Zach Bye was making fun of me. I got big shoulders, baby. I don't care. about charting plays. But when you chart plays and you see that formation, you're like, here comes the screen pass 6 times to Samaje Perine. It's a garbage play at that moment. It's completely obvious from film study, and it's a garbage play call from Sean Payton. Sean Payton screwed his team tonight. The blame will be on Russell Wilson, but this is on Payton because when you had a Russell Wilson moment, he wasn't able to do anything because you were calling up guys. And the problem with Russ, you know what Peyton Manning would do? And I said this on Orange and Blue today earlier in the week. I was like, am I comparing Russell Wilson to Peyton Manning? Yeah, because when you're paid like that, you need to play like that. But you know what Peyton Manning would do if he got some garbage play call? He'd wave it off. Russell Wilson, in a way, and I said this on the pregame show, like, I wish he would kind of fight back a little bit. Russell Wilson is good. Yes, sir. No, sir. Right away, sir. Russell Wilson's going to run what you call. And that's where this is completely obvious for everyone that just doesn't flat out blindly hate Russell Wilson. And I'm not even a Russell Wilson fanboy. Okay? I mean, not at all. He's the only player I've ever interviewed that actually like puffed up to me in a physical, I'm going to beat you up even though I'm shorter than you type of way. And I've told the story a million times, but whatever. It was years ago. But like, yeah, I've interviewed thousands of players. Only one has ever bowed up to me, and that's little Russell Wilson. So am I a big Russ fanboy? No, but I'm a fan of the truth. And the truth is, like, Sean Payton screwed Russell Wilson tonight. Sean Payton screwed the Denver Broncos tonight with his totally predictable play calling. And it's sad because a playoff run would feel good. 9 wins, 9-8. Does that feel good? Not really. I mean, it's better than it used to be, and that's where I've promised myself, and I don't feel like I'm going to vomit tonight, which is always a good sign for the postgame show. And I don't feel like I'm getting an ulcer, which is another good sign for the postgame show, but I am upset. There's no doubt. I'm clearly upset. I think it's righteous indignation. Like, yeah, this was pathetic because your players were working their ass off and their coach let them down. The players were fighting their ass off, and the coach let them down. When you run stuff that everybody knows, that's not putting your players in the best position. That's a coach's responsibility. And you should know that. Like, again, it's not scripted, but it's almost like in a movie when you get to that all is lost moment. The all is lost moment in a movie, and my buddy screenwriter Mark Torgove, his Garfield movie comes out next year. If you're watching, brother, I know you were texting me earlier, but if you're watching, please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat room. Your all is lost moment, as Save the Cats right there behind me. It's like the greatest screenwriting book ever. All is lost moment comes with 30 minutes left in the movie. So like, it's usually a best friend or someone else that goes to the hero of the story and says, you know what your problem is? And they tell him like that truth that the hero maybe doesn't realize or doesn't want to admit. The best friend or whoever says, you know what your problem is? And that's the all is lost moment where everything seems like it's gone. And then the hero fights back. So again, the NFL is totally not scripted, but that moment where Russell Wilson has fought back, where Brandon Johnson, nice to see Brandon Johnson out there, by the way, when, Lucas Kroll has made plays, when Marvin Mims has made plays, hell of a catch by Marvin Mims. I'm glad they upheld it. When, yes, even Jerry Jeudy, the much maligned Jerry Jeudy, is making plays. I'm getting chills just talking about it. You can't see it because I'm wearing long sleeves, but like, you have this moment set up. That's Russ's moment. That's Russ's moment. And he could shine in that moment if you would call the right plays. But instead, Russell Wilson is a good football player. Oh, yes, sir. No, sir. Right away, sir. Peyton Manning, who basically ran the offense. And I know it's different, but still, you get that garbage call in. guys, we're going to run this. We're going to fake the screen, and they're going to bring the house. I got a screen to the other side, so I want you to sneak out. Where was that creativity? I mean, they're bringing the house. They're bringing the house. You go to screen pass, and you were lucky. I believe Rich Eisen said it. You were lucky to have it be a 3-yard loss. That was lucky on that. So now it's 2nd and 13, whatever. But like, where was we're going to set up this side. They're going to bring the house, and I'm going to dump it to the other side. Where was that play? These plays exist, not just in Madden. They exist in real life, the real world. Thunderbird. But Sean Payton didn't call it because he doesn't trust his quarterback. And I just said doesn't. So, it's getting late. It's actually just 10 o'clock. Okay. Mountain time, wherever you're watching this. Thank you. But that's what's most disappointing is your team fought hard. The players fought hard. The players never gave up. This was very entertaining from an entertainment standpoint, not most of the game. At halftime, a lot of GIFs that I get, GIFs, whatever, from people were like, this is boring. I get it. I anticipated this game to be like 9-3. Broncos win 9-3. I knew it was going to be boring. Then the third quarter happened where New England scored 20 points. Then the fourth quarter happened where the Broncos scored 16 and they fought back and they almost won. But Sean Payton, this is on him, and he'll have the hubris. He won't even admit that. Sean Payton will not think this is Sean Payton's fault. That's who he is, which, as my grandmother would say, that's just his way. That's fine. But I wouldn't mind if Russ kind of yelled back a little bit. Russell Wilson, your career just got screwed. Again, I don't know if he starts the next 2 games because you don't want him to get hurt. I definitely think he's not back this year now. I was saying Russ and a rookie, and it still might be Russ and a rookie, Russ and a first-round rookie. It still might be Russ and a rookie. But now after this game, it feels like maybe it's just no Russ. Maybe it's just rookie. And you can blame Sean Payton because in a Russ moment that's setting up for Russ, the play design, the designs, plural, were awful. And I wish in a way Russ would be like Peyton Manning and just be like, no, we're not running that. I know what you called. We're not running that. What's Peyton going to do? Bench him? Especially if the play works, right? Now he doesn't have that cachet. They don't have that relationship. I think it's a good, not great relationship. It's certainly not great. And they don't need to be buddy-buddy. I don't even be like stepbrothers, right? Did we become best friends? I don't need any of that, but I'd like some more trust. What's a relationship without trust? Well, you're seeing it now with the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. That's what it's like without trust. Big trust, big Russ. Like, that's what it is. And so tonight's game, I mean, it comes down to Sean Payton letting the team down, and everyone's going to blame Russ. And everyone's going to blame Courtland Sutton getting hurt. And everyone's going to blame Marvin Mims for the special teams gaff. I did like when Marvin made that catch. He didn't celebrate. Not because I'm not a celebrate guy. And I think there's too much of that in football where defense makes a stop and they all run to the end zone and do this. Like, it's the second quarter. Y'all don't need to run to the end zone to strike a pose in the second quarter. We got a lot of game left. But Marvin Mims had made so many mistakes early on in the contest. For him to make that big catch and not celebrate, I like that. It shows the fire within Marvin Mims. One of the reasons I like Marvin Mims is because of that fire and that energy. And we just didn't see consistency in his play. We didn't see consistency in Sean Payton's play calling. And that's what's been so confusing, confounding about this end of the season, because you drop one to the Texans. Okay. You shouldn't have. You played like crap and it came down to last play. Shouldn't have dropped one of the Texans. It happens. And the Texans are really good offensively with CJ Stroud. You drop one of the Lions. Okay. Lions offense, it's one of the best in the league. And Ben Johnson, who wants $15 million a year. I think a lot of teams are going to tell him to pound sand, but like, he wants to be paid like Sean Payton and Kyle Shanahan. and he's never been a head coach before. Anyway, I digress. You lose to the Lions. It's easy to say, well, hey, they're one of the best teams in the NFC. They could make the Super Bowl. Okay, it's on the road, whatever. But this one's at home against an average at best Patriots team, against an average at best quarterback, and he's below average. Bailey Zappi's just below average. But you lose that game to an average at best team, a below average quarterback, and you're at home, and it's your fault. It's your fault because you get the ball back with a minute and a half. And even if you just go to overtime, even if you're playing for overtime, what were you playing for, Sean Payton? That's what my question would be, right? When the Patriots got the ball and this looked like they're going to play for overtime, and then 3rd and 3, fade stop, Devontae Parker on Pat Surtain. That's not playing for for overtime. That's playing for the win. And you take that chance at 3rd and 3, whatever, you kick the ball back, you go to overtime anyway. So that was like one of those ballsy plays. The Broncos get the ball with a minute and a half left, and 7 times. Crappy screen pass to Samaje Perine. What? Huh? The plays had been working, the downfield stuff, more Brandon Johnson, more Jerry Jeudy, a dash of Lucas Kroll. All this stuff was working, and you go back to the well with the old handy dandy. We've got a play dialed up that nobody will be expecting, and everybody was expecting. And the formation gives it away. You can tell exactly what they're going to do. I'm a slappy on the radio or on YouTube, and I knew that play was coming. What do you think defensive coaches think when they see that formation? Sean Payton doesn't trust Russell Wilson. And instead of playing for the win, he played for the something? Like, seriously, why would you call that play? Why would you call that play? Oh, they're bringing everybody. Samaje Perine's not going to take it to the house, baby. Okay? If that's Jewell McLaughlin, maybe. Okay? Home run hitter, right? So if you throw that screen pass and it's to Jewell McLaughlin, maybe because of his speed, he could break one because they're bringing the house. And if you could just get past that first wave, then it's house call. I get it. Okay. But not Samaje Perine, not Samaje Perine with a knee. He had the knee thing a month ago or whatever. That just doesn't go away. Not during an NFL season. So again, Sean Payton, what were you playing for? He'll never admit this. Nobody will ever ask him. I'm not going to say the Denver media is scared. We're puppy dogs. I'm including myself. Nobody's going to ask him, like, what were you playing for? Like, why would you call that play? No one will ask him that. One, he wouldn't answer. He'd probably get mad at you. I don't think he'd take your credentials or whatever, but he definitely wouldn't answer you, and he'd be mad, and he'd probably hold a grudge. He was mad when we're reporting on Quinn Miners going to the hospital. Sorry, we're doing our job. Right? Like, you can't hold that against the media when we learn information and we go with information, not rumors. Okay. You can be mad at the media for rumors. You can't be mad at the media for information. And yet Sean Payton was, probably still is. But no one's going to ask him. He probably won't even admit it. He probably thinks that play would have, if it only hadn't been for the even. It's like Scooby-Doo, right? Sean Payton's the Scooby-Doo villain. He's not one of the good guys. Not wearing an ascot. What's that guy's name? Fred, whatever. He's a little bit shaggy. He's got some shaggy in him, right? Those are Scooby snacks. Sean Payton's got a little shaggy in him. That's okay, baby. It's Colorado. You're fine. You'll be all right. But like, Sean Payton is the Scooby-Doo villain, where you pull off the mask, and it's like, I wouldn't have got away from it if it would have been for Russell Wilson. But seriously, why call that play in that moment? It wasn't ever Chris Tucker, ever going to work. Why don't you go get something to eat? I know you're hungry. Like, seriously, it wasn't going to work at all whatsoever. And Sean Payton dialed it up. Why? Sound like Sir Smoke-A-Lot. Why? Like, seriously, why? What were you playing for? Why would you call that play when other stuff had been working? Clearly, Sean Payton wants to win. Clearly, Russell Wilson wants to win. Russell Wilson never gives up hope, and I like that about him. I think he could be a little bit more realistic. I don't need a list of great things when someone asks him a tough question. Answer the question, Claire. Like, what's the disconnect? Other than Sean Payton's just done working with Russell Wilson, somebody give me an answer. Sean Payton won't give me an answer. Russell Wilson will give me a list. So I want you in the chat room. Which side is it? This side? Chat room? What side are you on? Chat room. Where's the disconnect? Why didn't they keep running the plays that were working? Some crossers, slants, Jerry Jeudy, slant God. Come on. Screen pass does not work in that moment when everybody knows it's coming. So chat room, I'm going to get to your chats, my chats, all of our chats here in just a little bit. I've been talking a lot today. So I think I'll drink some tea. But I think I'll look at your chats. What's the disconnect between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton? And once again, he got beat. That's from Joseph. Saying 3rd and short, everyone knows quarterback going to throw it deep, which he already was 3-3. Why was Surtain playing press one-on-one is beyond me. Pat Surtain's got some splaining to do. Again, I don't know how many people ask him the question. And again, I like Pat Surtain a lot. He's a heady player. He's a smart player. He's not a bust. I know, last week people were saying that in the chat room. I wouldn't even put it on the screen. But I will ask the question. What was the thought process there? The play call. Like, why is it that? See, Joey gets it. Answer the question, Claire. It's also in Go, where they're quoting Breakfast Club. And M. Taylor, it's so frustrating. That's the problem. See, I'm not disappointed. They're not going to make the postseason now, everybody. And I'm not disappointed because of the comeback and the fact that you've seen how it can work. But I am frustrated tonight because it's set up for a Russell Wilson moment and your coach let him down. Your coach let Russell Wilson down. Russell Wilson let you down for most of the game. And then when it started clicking, your coach went away from that. Donald says self-sabotage. God, I hope not. I hope not. Chad comes up with probably the best answer. What's up, Chad? Sean doesn't trust Russ. And if he says they were scared, I will say, Chad, I think you're talking about the coaching staff, correct? Because the players weren't scared. The players were out there making this miraculous comeback. They came back, they tied it up, they get the ball back, and then the coaches get tight. And Sean doesn't trust Russ. That's the problem. Here's one from Nate. Russ not seeing the wide receiver or throwing them open, play calling. Russ doesn't read the whole field. Again, you know what you see there. Throwing him open, no, he's more of a see it, throw it guy. So that means you have to scheme it open. And we'll see what happens there. Kroll was fighting. I agree with that. Broncos Jay, we're all chats, brother. That's right. And then Andy just fired George Payton and find some dogs. They've got some, they don't have enough. They have some Sean Payton guys, they don't have enough. M. Taylor with an interesting one. Payton doesn't want Russ to have these big moments. Okay, M. Taylor, if that's the case, I would then ask you why. I'm not saying I disagree with you, but I would just want us all to think why. Did he take his ball and go home in a way? Because they started the season out trying to run more Sean Payton stuff. It didn't work. They were 1-5. Then they ran the ball. They went on this turnover spree that's unprecedented and unheralded, like an amazing turnover spree defensively. So why would Payton not want Russ to have these big moments? You can answer me. And again, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but it's like, did Sean Payton say, well, if we're just going to run the ball, then I can get any quarterback? You're not doing this stuff with Jarrett Stidham. If Jarrett Stidham's in that game and you get the ball back with 1:30, he has not shown the ability to be special in those moments. Russell Wilson has. I did have a buddy of mine text me like, I'm ready for Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham doesn't answer anything. Okay, Jarrett Stidham can't lead you on that comeback, and he doesn't have the skins on the wall, to steal a term from John Fox. John Fox said, skins on the wall. Okay, Fred, I like this one. The disconnect is the Russ fanboys, excuse makers, and the rest of the world what can't see Russ being down his leg and clean pockets, but he can be special. Okay. How many Russ fanboys are there? There are some. Trust me, I see him in the chat room sometimes on Orange and Blue Today. I see him on Twitter sometimes, although Twitter doesn't matter. Russ come on, Russ can do it. Like, nah, Russ can do a little bit. You have to run certain plays for him. I will somewhat, since Fred put it in air quotes, and Fred, clarify for me in the chat room if you disagree with this. I'll somewhat disagree with Fred. Be like, he can be special in moments. He can't be special all the time. He can't elevate, but there's moments. 1:30 left. That's a Russell Wilson moment. You got to call the right plays. You got to call what can work for Russell Wilson. I'm sorry if he can't run everything that Sean Payton wants him to run, but that's what you have to do. And Sean Payton doesn't believe Russ can be special. At least that's what it seems like. All of this is just kind of obvious. Seahawks one-ring wonders. Seahawks fans bug me. Sorry, 12th man stole it from Texas A&M. He's still looking around for Drew Brees. That's right. Ooh, this is a good one. Earth Painter says Russ sucked early, Payton sucked late. Inconsistent. See, that's what we're seeing in this game. Like, you had an inconsistent play calling from Sean Payton. You had inconsistent play from Russell Wilson. Russ sucked early, Payton sucked late. Broncos lost. In a game they should have won. And that's what stings. That's what's frustrating. Again, I'm not disappointed. I'm kind of angry. But like, that's the frustrating part. Michael, one of my favorites. What's up, Michael? Says we didn't put pressure on the Pats on their final drive. We didn't use the clock against them. Could have totally used the clock against them. And the Trillist. Was that I think it was there was some DJ that put together Tupac and Biggie on the Realist, but it might have been one of those mashup songs, so not a real like produced song, but like a mashup on the Realist. I'm not sure, but I did have that on a bootleg CD, I think. But the Trillist says Sean doesn't trust Russ like he did with Breeze. And that's the thing. Like, Drew Brees ain't walking through that door, Sean. You're unlikely to find another Drew Brees. You might find another guy that does things his way, but like the Drew Brees way, I can't speak English. The Drew Brees way is not really going to happen again. That's where the frustration comes. Brad, let's hide. The disconnect is trust. Broncos J, when your last name is an obscure 80s sci-fi flick, you can't do much. See, and here's a perfect example. Ayatollah of Kraut Rock and Rolla. Okay, but this is perfect, and it's exactly what I'm talking about. And I will say what the rumblings are, and I will tell you this with Foxy, who I love John Fox. I love John Fox. I've told the Ant-Man story before. He didn't know who Ant-Man was. His two of his three sons worked for Marvel. They had just gotten done with Civil War, Captain America, and they were going to Ant-Man. So I remember talking to Foxy on the sidelines of practice. He's like, what the hell's an Ant-Man? And so me being a super nerd with a bunch of comic books, I was like, let me tell you about Ant-Man. And I told him about Ant-Man. I love John Fox. Love John Fox to this day. Fox told Mike McCoy to scrap the offense and run what Tebow can do. Mike McCoy did not want to do that. And I always gave McCoy credit until I found out that McCoy didn't want to do that. So Mike McCoy, who I used to say, like, look at what Mike McCoy did, and he changed the offense for Tebow. McCoy didn't want to. That was a Foxy call. John Elway. We all remember the shots of John Elway sitting in the press box, right? When the Broncos were winning with Tebow and Matt Prater mainly, but like winning, and Elway was clapping like, oh, because it was the Andrew Luck year. Suck for luck, right? And I believe, as an admirer of Andrew Luck, I don't believe the Broncos would have ruined him the way the Colts did, because the Colts ruined a gem, a diamond, who should have multiple Super Bowls right now. This league should be Andrew Luck's. With Brady retired and Peyton Manning retired, this league should be Andrew Luck's league. Like it was Peyton Manning's league. Like it was Tom Brady's league. And he's been done playing for what? 4 years, 5 years, whatever the number is. However long it's been. Just don't at me, bro. But like, John Elway probably didn't really want to win with Tim Tebow. I'm just telling you what the rumblings were. Foxy is just like, screw it. And Fox also told my good buddy Russ Landy, who's one of my dear friends. He runs the Alouettes now. But Russ Landy was with the Rams. He was Dick Vermeil's right-hand man. And John Fox came in as an assistant with the Rams just briefly, probably like 6 months. And he was having lunch with Russ Landy one day. And he said, you know what I'm going to do if I'm ever head coach? This is before he was head coach. He said, I'm going to hire Tom Osborne. I'm going to run the flipping triple option. So that's Foxy, right? Well, John Fox almost ran the triple option with Tim Tebow because Tim Tebow wasn't great passing the ball at all, except for against Dick LeBeau, or 80 yards to Demarius Thomas in overtime. Anyway, but look at what Ayatollah says here. Fox and Elway probably didn't want Tebow as their quarterback, but Fox put him in the position for him and his team to succeed, and they made the playoffs, and they won a playoff game that will go down in history with one of the best plays in Broncos history. I just said it. 80 yards, Demarius Thomas to the house. One of the few times I've ever seen the press box erupt in cheering. You're not supposed to cheer in the press box. You're also not supposed to make fun of the Raiders either. I got in trouble with one of my former coworkers. Shh. I got in trouble with one of my former coworkers because we were making fun of the Raiders front office and they were sitting behind us. We didn't know that. But I was making fun of the scouts and the GM. And we were chopping it up. We were having fun. And they were sitting right behind us. Sorry, Reggie McKenzie. I don't mind Reggie. His brother's cool too. But like, still, I got in a little bit of trouble for that. Anyway, they'll be fine. I'll be fine. But like, John Fox just wanted to win, man. I know Sean Payton wants to win. Why can't you call better plays for Russell Wilson at the end of the game? Why can't you set up Russell Wilson better to make better plays at the end of the game that you clearly should have won? That should have been a Will Lutz walk-off field goal. That's what it should have been. I'm not even asking for a touchdown. If a touchdown would have happened, Jerry Jeudy deep, 40 yards, Russell Wilson to Jerry Jeudy, I'd love it. But even if it was a Will Lutz, 37-yard field goal to win the game, fine, you get the win. John Elway probably wasn't real excited about Tim Tebow. And he made the change to Peyton Manning, the greatest move of all time. That only happens because of John Elway. John gets a lot of hate because of what happened after Super Bowl 50. And I think he should have walked away after Super Bowl 50. That's for another show. But like, John Elway got Peyton Manning. That's it. John Elway got Peyton Manning. Done. Yes, Peyton Manning was, awesome for 4 years. Well, 3.5, whatever. And the defense was awesome. I mean, who put together that defense, right? Broncos have a good scouting staff. They need to have a good guy calling the shots. It's probably not George Payton. But I think that is the number one point from Rock and Rolla here. John Elway and John Fox probably weren't thrilled about going to the playoffs with Tim Tebow, but they did it. Because that's what you do. When you're set up to make a run, you make the flip and run. Because now, what are you going to have in the playoffs? Teams like the Gardner Minshew-led Colts, the Mason Rudolph-led Steelers, frauds. Absolute frauds. The Case Keenum-led Texans. I hope CJ Stroud gets back soon. But, like, seriously, Joe Flacco-led Browns could go to the Super Bowl. But those teams are setting up to make a run, and that's Joe Flacco, Gardner Minshew, Case Keenum, Mason Rudolph. You have Russell Wilson, who's better than all those guys. And yet you don't want to set him up because you don't like him or don't trust him. Like, what is the answer? Tom says, Sean calls for a screen pass and the rest is history. Tim says, Sean is too arrogant to trust Russ. Boo Man says, Parker, 5 targets, 4 catches, all on Surtain. Amon-Ra St. Brown gets you whatever. Devontae Parker gets you. That's not a good look. Give me something to break. Like I think it's in the garage. I have a red Yankees hat for when I went to see Limp Bizkit. So, yeah, red hat to the back like Fred Durst. Give me something to break. Kind of feels like that, except it's Christmas Eve, right? Should be enjoying ourselves, enjoying a little eggnog. I've got my Gatorade Zero. Nothing else in it. The Trillis back again says, yeah, when you yelled at him, you know he didn't trust him. I agree with this. Donald says, like seeing the young pups becoming dogs, need more. You saw Drew Sanders make some plays, which is good. He's got a ways to go. You saw Riley Moss almost make a play, almost make an interception. I was like, damn it, Moss, damn it. Like, if Riley Moss could have got that pick, it would have been impossible, like incredible play, but demand the impossible. Like, expect it, like, to make that play. So Riley Moss, like seeing him, like seeing, you know, a young guy, you know, Baron Browning's not a rookie, but like working more Baron Browning, Nick Benito getting healthy. Like, you've got some young talent. You've got some talent. The Broncos, when they were 1-5, that was the most frustrating thing. It's not like they just suck. It's not like they're just a terrible god. The Carolina Panthers suck. Okay. They have no chance. They have hardly any talent. The talent they do have is washed up. Like the Carolina Panthers, and they've got like 1 or 2 guys, Brian Burns, but like that's a team that just sucks. The Broncos were never that. You coach them up, you do what they can do, and you let the young guys. I like seeing the young guys make plays, Donald. I'm glad you brought that up. Orange Crush 5280 says, I'm over it. Orange Crush 5280. As long as you like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell that you never miss a vid, it's fine. Melissa says this. I think Sean doesn't like that Russ isn't Drew Brees, and I think Russ has had 2 coaches for the last 2 years that either one is a terrible coach, and this year there's no trust. I think Sean is trying to make Russ look bad to give him a reason to get rid of him. Okay, Melissa, that's a fair point of view. It's got to be on purpose, right? Sean Payton didn't forget how to coach. Russell Wilson isn't totally washed up. Again, there was somebody earlier in the chat room who's like, you just repeat yourself. I am unsubscribing. I'm sorry I'm talking by myself for an hour and 4 minutes. Probably going to repeat myself. And don't you know, haven't you ever listened to Jim Rome? Like, seriously. But when you look at Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, like, dude, teams are making the postseason with Gardner Minshew, Mason Rudolph, and Joe Flacco, and Case Keenum. Like, teams are making a run with Joe Flacco. Gotta trust Russ, and he doesn't. Still sour about the interception. Okay, Joey. Look, Joey's a Seahawks fan I could like. I really wanted this one for Russ against the Patriots as a Seahawks fan. Wishing you all the best. Joey, that's a very good point of view. There's a lot of Seahawks fans that aren't as nice as Joey. Joey's a good one. There's a lot of Seahawks fans that are like, screw you, Russ. Russ brought you a lot of joy, man. Yeah, he's a cheese ball. Yeah, he's somewhat fake. He knows where the cameras are. That's kind of just him. Although there's a competitive fire there with Russell Wilson. There you go. Yeah, Paul, I didn't talk about this one because I'm repeating myself. He was bitter for a while, but he's over that now. Still don't understand the first possession after the DJ Jones turnover. Should have left with at least a field goal. I mean, come on, man. You start out that game. I do the pregame show. At kickoff, I'm done, right? So my computer's cleaned up in my backpack. I grab my bottle of water or my handy dandy thermos thing, and I go to the car. I'm in the car literally within 2 minutes of kickoff, and the Broncos have the ball inside the 5. And I was like, wait a second, what did I miss? And it's just like, in this type of game, you knew it was going to be hard fought. Again, I thought it'd be like 9-3 Broncos win. I thought it'd be a hard fought game. Didn't see a lot of points scored in this one. They did score points in this one, but you didn't take the points there. You're right there. It's the very beginning of the game. Yeah, Nate says Jeudy didn't have a catch till 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then he kind of went off. M. Taylor says, honestly, I think Sean gets in his own way. He has been called a narcissist. I usually call him a tyrant, but yeah, there's a little bit of that. Narcissist means you don't care about other people, and I'm not going to say that about Sean Payton. Mike Evans called Deion Sanders a narcissist on air with me, and I was like, don't say that about Deion, because Deion cares about people. Deion's like super arrogant. You're Deion Sanders. Of course you can be super arrogant, but I don't believe he's a narcissist. So I wouldn't necessarily call Sean Payton a narcissist because, again, the technical meaning means you don't care for anyone except for yourself. I definitely think he can't get in his own way. Smartest guy in the room, just ask him. Aim Taylor says, I'm a Russ fanboy. Okay, it's fine. See, Earth Painter back with another one, man. This is a good one. I'm a huge fan of Russell Wilson, but I don't delude myself regarding his ability at this point. I love Russ. And that's what I've often told Broncos fans. Your quarterback's cheeseball. Yeah. What do you want? Ben Roethlisberger? Do I need to get into it? You want Deshaun Watson? Do I need to get into it? Like, your quarterback is a good man. He's a family man that really cares. Yes, he's cheesy. Yes, he puts it on for the camera. But he cares. And he's a good person. And at the end of the day, I would way rather, and I've told this story before, but when my son was younger and he had his Ben Roethlisberger jersey, and he also had a Tim Tebow jersey and like quarterback jerseys. So my son had every quarterback jersey. He had Jake Plummer. He did have Kyle Orton. He did have Tim Tebow. Basically, if you started for the Denver Broncos, he had a jersey of you if you played quarterback. Either way, love my son to death. Love my family. He had his Ben Roethlisberger jersey. And when everything came out officially official, I told him, you're not going to wear that again. So I will ask you again. And I'm glad that Earth Painter brings this up because it's very accurate. It's very true. Oh, Russ, he's corny. Yeah, he's a good man. Don't you want to root for that? Do you want someone like Ben Roethlisberger as your quarterback? Do you want someone like Deshaun Watson as your quarterback? Need I say more? Michael, offense is predictable. There's no creativity. Don't put playmakers in positions to make plays until you score in the fourth quarter. Like, they were doing that kind of, and then they went away from it when they got the ball back and they got tight. Vike Irishman. Hey, I have a restructured settlement and I need cash now. Yeah. Russell Wilson can call JG Wentworth or just call Walton Penner Group. Gray Penner really cares. Like, I've often told you guys, like, Broncos country is my family. I'm not a Broncos fan. I can't be a fan and be an analyst. Sorry. So I'm not even a Steelers fan anymore. Whatever. Everyone all loses their mind. I don't know why. But Greg Penner, just know this, Broncos country. He really, really cares. I like Greg Penner a lot. I mean, a lot. And he doesn't get in the way of his football guys. And he's got some pretty good football guys. Yeah, Sean Payton's a bit of a tyrant, but he's a damn good coach. M. Taylor says he was special. On that drive. Even Pete is laughing. Okay. We're regressing to the mean. Kid Dangerous. A below 500 team. I like this from Bauer. Sean Payton is the anti-Mike McDaniels. MM's strength is knowing that he doesn't know everything. Mike McDaniel is a fascinating person because of just the way he came up, the battles that he had going through coaching, partying like it was 1999, like as a coach. And he's even told the stories of, overcoming alcoholism and stuff like that. Like, and trust me, especially in scouting circles, scouts love to gossip. And there's a lot of scouts that love to drink. Again, I'm not saying whatever your personal habits are, no judgment, but you get a lot of information when this stuff starts flowing. You know what I mean? So to overcome that and then to have that insight to know that you don't know everything, that's why I love Mike McDaniel. Wish the Broncos would have hired him. But anyway, that was the guy that George Payton was like, nah. But I love the story. I've known Mike since he was a ball boy for Mike Shanahan, since he was a teenager. So yeah, Mike McDaniel. I'm a Mike McDaniel fanboy. Big Hurt says Russ is just a shorter, more experienced version of Justin Fields. Yeah, there's some truth to that. There's some truth to that. Let's see. Yep. Colo, Rad, Dan. Payton sucked early. Should have kicked the field goal on the first drive. Just checking out the chat room and seeing what's up there. People make fun of Seahawks fans. So Joey's a nice Seahawks fan. The rest of the Seahawks fans can get bent, but there we go. Yeah, Coco. Coco's my dude right here. Coco says something in the chat room, and if I see it, it's going on the screen. Coco knows ball. Mims 2 turnovers didn't help on special teams. He should have just stayed down when he fumbled the first time. Kid's trying to make plays, and he makes a mistake. It's the oldest trick in the book. Yep. Cloud says, at least you guys beat the Chiefs. Yeah. Chad Kelly would have won that game. Chad Kelly deserves a shot in the NFL. I don't know if he'll ever get it, but Chad Kelly deserves a shot. Donovan. Wyoming's own Josh Allen. Should have drafted him. You can blame Elway's hesitancy after the Paxton Lynch debacle for not drafting Josh Allen. And for that, and by the way, Elway loved Justin Herbert. But for that, I say, find your quarterback. It doesn't, you drafted a bust. You drafted a guy that plays Madden. Yeah. Next. Like, that's what you see with teams, the good teams. I mean, even Arizona, moving on after a year with not Josh Allen, and then getting Kyler Murray. Like, and I know Kyler Murray hasn't worked out, but still, like, you just find your guy. He's not the guy, find your guy. But when you have a chance to make a run at the postseason, you make the run. And that's not going to happen. Babaloo says, Wilson, gone. Yep. Paul said, what do we do now? I think And it still could be Russ and a rookie, first round rookie. I think it won't be with Russ. Might be overreacting. Lord, hey, a post-game show where Lammey overreacts. Yeah. Isn't that why you watch? Preach, Cecil. Thank you, Dwayne. I appreciate you that much. Yeah. Gary, the play calling, man. Play calling. Enigma. Pizza rolls and eggnog. Still have a Merry Christmas. I do miss pizza rolls. I dropped 60 pounds 2 years ago, and I'm never going back. But I do miss the pizza rolls. Still checking the chat room. Shaggy Sean bong rip. Oh yeah, I did talk about Sean taking his bong rip. Whatever. He's human, everybody. Like, no judgment here. No chemistry. Yep, I agree with that. And the way you get chemistry is you work on things, and it just seems like they want to be in the shell. Ball sack. I don't know why, but that makes me laugh. Yeah, Michael, I agree with that. Thanks for all your points on PS2. He hasn't hit the next level, and he needs to make that jump. Yeah. We can't talk about you as being the best corner in the league if you're letting Devontae Parker get you. Sorry. I understand the best corners have bad days. And to repeat myself, Champ Bailey had a bad day against Terrell Owens once, but that's a Hall of Famer. You don't have a Champ Bailey on Devontae Parker. You know what Devontae Parker gets? 0 catches. That's what Devontae Parker gets. Champ Bailey on Terrell Owens. Yeah, T.O.'s going to get him a little bit. Pat Surtain, man, you must focus more on football. I've said the same thing about Josh Allen, so I'll say the same thing about Pat Surtain. Stop doing everything else that's not football related. Stop doing interviews. Stop doing commercials. And again, this was my memo for Josh Allen. And what I've constantly said about the Bills is like, stop making Josh Allen do everything and Josh start concentrating on football more. Why do you think Stephon Diggs was pissed at him last year? Because dude's distracted. I'm not saying Pat Surtain's distracted, but dude, I want to know you're doing everything about football. I don't need to see you on interviews. I don't need to see you on any sort of, special event. Like, I don't need that. And by the way, the money that those guys get is incredibly insignificant. So if you're making any sort of like public appearance for a player, for me, their public appearance money is like, wow, that's really nice. I'll buy some more comic books. By the way, I buy comic book collections. Hit me up. But like for a player, for what Pat Surtain gets paid to do TV appearances, I don't want to tell you the number, but it's not much. And certainly for players, it's not much. And I don't need to see that. I don't need to see him on, and I won't even name any of the weekly shows that he may appear on. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't need to see Pat Surtain on anything. I need to see Pat Surtain stop flipping Devontae Parker on a 3rd and 3 with the game on the line. That's what I need to see. And when he's doing other stuff, that's just a distraction. That's just is. Ben says trade for Fields. Atlanta seems to be linked to Fields. He's from Georgia, so that's something. MVP Brock Purdy. I still remember talking to Brock Purdy at the Shrine Bowl for an hour, and he thought he was done. Because the Shrine Bowl does a great job. Senior Bowl has a media night, which like has podiums and it's all super official, which is fine. The Shrine Bowl, you have a players lounge and they rotate in, I think it's 8 players at a time. So you just get to hang out with them in this players lounge. And, couches and drinks and not alcoholic drinks, but like, Gatorade or whatever. And you just get to hang out with them. And you could do some stand-up stuff. You can do some TV interviews or whatever, or you can just sit there and talk to them. So I talked to Brock Purdy for an hour, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm done." He didn't think he would get drafted. And Purdy, who I still had a late round grade on him, I thought he was intriguing in college. And when I saw him at the Shrine game, the Shrine Bowl, I was like, wow, he's not in person. It's not as impressive. Because college, you can put up numbers, whatever. And then in talking to him, it's like, oh, what are you going to go into after after this, basically? Because you might get a camp invite, maybe. And now he's MVP type level. So love that story. Flacco and Simeon win games today. Wow, yeah, the Jets did win. Forgot about that. And yeah, Ayatollah, Gardner Minshew, and Joe Flacco are playing good. Good for them. Good for them. Melissa said, yeah, the commentator said that. I love Rich Eisen, but he's a little off tonight. Like, come on, Rich. It's not Vance Johnson. And it's not McLaughlin. Is it Sarah McLaughlin? Who's it? Is that Sarah McLaughlin, right? Who's that artist? As you can tell, I'm not a Sarah McLaughlin fan. Is it McLaughlin or is it McLaughlin? But it's like, it's Jaleel McLaughlin. And Kurt Warner was getting it right with McLaughlin. And then Rich Eisen was like, McLaughlin. Like, dude, listen. Anyway. Crate Voodoo says, didn't like the play calling from the outset. Cautious when needed to be aggressive and played right into Belichick's scheme. Exactamundo. To sound like Samuel L. Jackson. Exactamundo. Correctamundo. That's what he said. Correctamundo. You played right into Belichick's hands with your cautious when you need to be aggressive and aggressive when you need to be cautious. Again, inconsistent. Tom, you watch a lot of movies? In the off season, yeah. During the regular season, I mean, there's a reason why I enjoy doing these post-game shows, doing the brain dump. Obviously, Orange and Blue today makes me happy every day, but I will tell everybody, and I make no bones about it, regular season is a flipping grind. And trust me, I know physical work. I was a farmer and a rancher and construction worker. Like, so woe is me. I cover football, but like, no, come December, I'm just like, oh, for blank's sake, can we just get to the playoffs, please? Can we please just get to the playoffs? December is always rough for me. Every year I try to figure out how not to get burned out. And every year about this time, I'm like, oh my God, we still have 2 weeks left. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the draft. I'm looking forward to the draft. The Broncos are probably looking forward to the draft too. I totally asked you, I have Brian Greasy or Jay Cutler. He had a Jay Cutler jersey. And he had a John Elway jersey when he was a baby because he was born in 99. So he had a John Elway jersey, one of those little like tyke jerseys, like I think it might have been a onesie. I probably still have it. And then he had a Greasy. So yes, if it was a Broncos starter during his lifetime up till Russell Wilson. And well, I'll tell you guys a story. Maybe I shouldn't tell you, but I'll tell you a story. So in that draft, 2012, like my son, a high school quarterback and all that, he was like, I really don't like Russell Wilson. And I was like, why? Why don't you like Russell Wilson? And it ended up, and this makes my heart feel good. And again, I've never told this story on air because it's like Russell Wilson's Broncos quarterback, and he's got a Broncos quarterback jersey of every quarterback, everyone, even Kyle Orton. It's worth tens of cents. But he didn't want a Russell Wilson jersey. And he's, of course, older now and graduated from college and all those sorts of things. But like, he didn't want a Russell Wilson jersey, and he didn't even want him in 2012. For that Christmas, he got a Robert Griffin III jersey. Anyway, he didn't like Russell Wilson because he was mean to me. Because at the Senior Bowl, when I asked Russell Wilson if he wanted to come to Denver and back up Tim Tebow, he stood out of his chair and he puffed up to me and then like that. So ever since that story, and that's my son getting my back, so I appreciate that. But yeah, so his Broncos jerseys for quarterbacks stopped there. So yeah, if you started at quarterback for the Broncos, my son has a jersey of you. So yes, including Brian Greasy and Jay Cutler. Although the Greasy one, I can't remember where that's at, but I still have all the other ones, even the Kyle Orton jersey. Anyway, let's see. Tom says, "Hey, Cease, what would you do if you were GM to bring the Broncos back? Move heaven and earth to get to the number one pick?" I mean, that's something. But you have to find Sean Payton's quarterback. Bottom line. So I don't think George Payton's a good GM. I think George Payton is a good scout. There's a difference. I think you could get a right-hand man like Kai Harley, the assistant GM for Mickey Loomis in New Orleans. You can get him in as general manager to work with Sean Payton to get him what he wants. You got to get what Sean Payton wants. Like, take it or leave it. And he's a tyrant and he's super arrogant. But this team goes the way that Sean Payton goes. That's it. Whatever Sean Payton does. So in the meantime, to make it work, you give him everything he wants until it doesn't work. But you give him everything he wants, and that includes a quarterback. So what would I do as GM? I would go over all the quarterbacks with Sean Payton, and if it's Caleb Williams, you got to get to 1. And if it's Drake May, you got to get to 2. The Patriots just hurt their draft stock today, by the way. They had the number 2 pick going into this game. But, like, that's what. Fallen Deity says, where did I get that skull cap? City Lokes. I have a ball cap. I haven't showed Nosh on this. I don't know how he'd respond. Maybe I shouldn't tell this story, but I'll tell another story. It's Christmas Eve. I have a hat from City Lokes, which will customize the license plate. Smoking Gun's my comic book company. It's named after my pickup. But I have a hat that has a Colorado plate that says sauced because that was Noshawn's plate. I was like, that's pretty cool. So there's some pictures of me floating around with it on. But I've never told Noshawn that I have a hat. I don't even know if its plates still say sauced, but yeah, his plate used to say sauced in the players' parking lot. So I got a hat with a Colorado license plate that said sauced. Melissa says, I'll always be a Russ fan. He's a good man. That's right. That's right. That's right. Alex Smith says Jerry Jeudy Stain, probably. And Courtland Sutton, probably not. I did hear John Davis and Noshawn in the pregame show before me saying, like, man, if you get rid of Courtland Sutton, that doesn't make any sense. Honestly, it's probably the thing that's going to happen. It's probably the thing that makes the most sense because Sutton has trade value. Jeudy does not. You have the 5th-year option. You just play it out. And maybe it plays out in a way where you want to pay him. I don't think that happens, but Jerry Jeudy could be your number 1 receiver next year for a rookie quarterback. That's why. Tom says I could listen to you all night. Well, I will be wrapping it up because I'm going about an hour and a half now. And I have talked a lot today, so I need to drink some throat coat tea. Michael says it's now officially draft season. That's the one thing that gets me through December, Michael. Again, don't cry for me. I cover football, but like the one thing that gets me through the burnout of December is draft season right around the corner. Bowl games, Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, Combine, Pro Days. I'll be up at CSU's Pro Day this year. Like, yeah, let's do it again. When does Dulcich come back? Next year? Why bring him back now? I mean, the dude's already proven that he can't stay healthy. I don't want to see Greg Dulcich this year. Greg Dulcich is a really good talent, and he was going to be a big part of what this team was going to do. But now that you're out of the playoffs, essentially, you don't need to bring Greg Dulcich back. And Gabe says it perfectly. You got to keep swinging at quarterback until you hit. Doesn't matter. Oh, he drafted Paxton Lynch. You know, I got in trouble one time for saying on the air that Paxton Lynch was a moron. And I apologize for that. So I won't say that he's a moron, but like you drafted a quarterback who doesn't pay attention to football. Whatever, go draft Josh Allen. I don't care. Like, that's how you do it. Melissa asked, do we really think Sean still has it? We'll see. We'll see. I believe so. I do. This turnaround this year showed he's got it. He's just real stubborn about this quarterback thing. Like, the turnaround this year showed to me, because there was a point when they were 1-5, and I was going to ask the question at a press conference, like, hey, Sean, are you happy you came back? No, I didn't ask him that because it's kind of not necessarily disrespectful, but it's like kind of puts him into a corner. Coaches don't like being put in those type of corners where if you say, yeah, I'm happy that I came back, Well, the follow-up would be like, well, why? You guys are 1-5. Like, was this the plan? Like, did you plan on it being this rough? Did you plan on having this much work to do? Yeah, maybe. But I didn't ask him that at the time. When we saw the turnaround for the team and the win streak for this team, I was like, yeah, Sean Payton still has it. And yes, he was doing rookie stuff with his quarterback because he's treating his quarterback with these damn training wheels, right? These little kitty gloves. That's what he's doing. And you could win with other quarterbacks, not Jarrett Stidham. But anyway, why not? You're like OT. Yep. Robert says, you think Jeudy gets traded? No, I think Sutton gets traded. Thinks nobody will test him. He's lost his ball skills. Yeah. Test him. Dominic, we need Chad Kelly. The week of the Halloween party, the day before he got beat by a vacuum, and I've always said he's lucky he didn't get shot. And I don't want to be morbid or that's nothing to make fun about, but like you go into someone's house unannounced, you can get shot. And that's just the way it goes. So the fact that he got beat up by an old 60s vacuum, that's a different story. But the day before, I asked Vance Joseph, do you trust Chad Kelly? Because I knew that Chad Kelly was going to start for the team. And so I asked the question to write the article about how Vance Joseph trusts Chad Kelly, and then the Halloween party got beat by a vacuum, and the rest is history. So there you go. Steven says, ignore the trolls. That's right, Steven. That's right. That's the best way to do it. Yeah, why don't I get the Seattle fans out of here? Except for Joey. Joey's a nice fan, a Seattle fan. Broncos J, Three Amigos. When I heard that Vance Johnson thing, I was like, does Vance Johnson know that he's the defensive coach of the Broncos? I think he lives around Crested Butte. Is that right? Parachute? I think he might live over, or his parents have a restaurant in Parachute, something like that. There you go. We even have a Raiders fan in here. Oh my God. How did he learn to spell? Penix fits Payton's style the most. That's true, Patrick. They do like Penix. So probably don't have to move up to get him. Yeah, Penix could be, you're looking at a first round quarterback, people. So put Penix on your watch list. I have Jaden Daniels as the favorite for the Broncos. Obviously, Caleb Williams would be the steal, but like you'd have to trade Surtain and Simmons and everything to get to number one. Anyway, there you go. I think that's about it. Just perusing the chat. You guys had a lot of chats, a lot to say. Thank you for that. So Dar Valdez, Russ can go be a good man on some other team. There you go. All right. I think that's a good way to wrap things up. So there you go. What are you guys doing for Christmas? Kids are grown, and I said this on air, so I'll share it here as well. When your kids start having to split holidays because of their relationships, where it's like, we're going to spend Thanksgiving with her family, we're going to spend Thanksgiving with my family, like that type of thing. When all your kids aren't home on Christmas, or as I've often said, with family in the military, and I wasn't prepared for this, and it's been very, very difficult. If I'll have a human moment, I'll try not to break down when I talk about it. But like when your family is in the military and they're either deployed or going through something where you just can't reach them and you don't really know where they're at, that is tough, my friends. That is very, very tough. So I've always given all my love and respect to our men and women, our nation's armed forces. I give it up to the families, because now being a military family myself, that's tough, really tough, something I was not prepared for. Because not that I'm a helicopter parent, I'm not Deion Sanders, but I'm like, I love my kids, and not all my kids are home for Christmas, and that hurts. that hurts. Because when you're growing up, I feel like the same way I did about my family with me and my two sisters. If Carrie's watching, or even if Dad's watching tonight, shout out to Carrie, my sister, and shout out to my dad. But like I still remember our last Christmas together as five. My mom, my dad, Marlita, Carrie, and me. I still remember that was 1992. It's the last Christmas we had together. So you grow up and you think like everything's gonna, or you don't really know or notice that it will be different someday. And then when it's different, it flipping sucks. Now, as an older father, and I started, and everyone has kids when they have kids, right? I talked to Josh Dover the other day, and he's not yet to be a father. I was like, you have kids when you have kids. I had a buddy of mine, Chad, who I think had his son when he was like 40 or 41. And I started when I was a teenager. So it's like, okay, there's a difference there. But you just have them when you have them. But like when that's no longer the norm, where, hey, everyone's getting together for Christmas, even with kids in college. Hey, everyone's getting together for Christmas. Hey, it's Christmas break. And then when you don't have that, it hurts because you want to have that. You want your whole family together at Christmas because family is the whole reason that I have 3 jobs. I got a lot to do. I got a little bit of time to do it, and I want to get it all done. But yeah, that's why I work 2 jobs and I have my own independent comic book company. It's because my family. I want to support my family. I want to set them up for when I'm done so that they can have, a nice nest egg, if you will. So yeah, Christmas will be fun because I will be with most of my kids, but not all my kids are coming home for, life reasons, and that stinks. So if you're a young parent out there and your kids are little and they're opening up toys, because when they get older, it's either like gift cards or it's electronics. How many times can you open up electronics, right? Oh, it's another Xbox or whatever. Like, okay, it's fine. And my kids have always been gracious no matter what gifts they get. But as you get older, it's like a little bit less fun. When they're opening up toys, it's like really fun. Putting together the toys, maybe less fun. And then sometimes they get the noisy toys that always make the noise. And you're like, stop hitting the button. Like, because the toys always make the same noise. Anyway, I'm getting off track. But like, if you're a younger parent, please enjoy everything because you only get so many like field days, right? And you only get so many Christmases. You only get so many of, those long talks on a road trip or whatever. So cherish every single moment you have with your family and with your kids and with anybody that's important to you. I cherish the moments that I have with you guys. Because I take it as a point of pride. Anytime I crack a mic, I don't care if it's in my home studio. I don't care if it's at a remote at Mile High Station or Brothers Barbecue or Old Chicago or wherever. I don't care if it's in the studio. Every time I crack a mic, it is an honor for me to talk football with you because I was a caller and I was a farmer driving tractor, driving swather, listening to Irv and Joe and some young guy named Adam Schefter on 950 The Fan. So to be able to crack a mic now for 104.3 The Fan, for Denver sports, I take it as a blessing. So I enjoy my time with you guys. I want you to enjoy your Christmas as well. And as I've wrapped up on Orange and Blue today, I'll send out the memo here. It's the most wonderful time of year, but for some people, it's not. So please, if you have someone that you're concerned about, reach out to them. If you're someone that's fighting with depression or suicidal thoughts or ideation, reach out to people. You're never alone. This is an interesting time of year. It brings up a lot of emotions. I'm getting emotional now. But like this time of year brings up a lot of emotions. Hopefully they're all positive for you. But if they're not positive, please reach out. Reach out to me, Twitter, email, whatever. It's all available. Like just please reach out. Know that you're never alone. And know that we all have this great unifier. Things are pretty divided right now, and that sucks. Okay, we didn't used to be like this. We need to get back to being like we used to be, where it was like you could disagree on things, but still be okay with each other because people are going to disagree. And sports are always been a great unifier. So we can come here with Broncos country, may not see things eye to eye on certain things, but know that we all love the Broncos or we love football. Let's go Broncos. Let's play fantasy football, whatever that is. Just know that. Come together, share your love of sports, share your love of family, be there for people, and know that you're not alone. I'm Cecil Lammey. Ha! What's up with this guy with the emotion, says the Raiders fan who learned how to spell with all caps as well. Yeah, Raiders fans, it's called being a human. Try it sometime, you moron. Anyway, corporate, don't send me an email. Oh, we had a Chiefs fan watching. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate that. And yeah, Paul, yeah, tough. Family and the holidays can be tough for us. So I know the Raiders may not like the emotion of the show, but it's just real talk. Can we talk like real talk? This isn't one of those Raiders, like I said this on Friday's show with Josh Dover. When anyone tries to make fun of me for like playing video games, like you're over 40 and you play video games every day. Yeah. I also can ride bulls and rope and rebuild engines. Like, you're not going to outman me. You collect comic books. Comic books are for kids. You have Star Wars toys hanging on your wall. Yeah. So, like what you like, get down how you get down, baby. So, yeah, we're going to show a little emotions during the holiday time, Raider fan. Sorry, you're a Raider fan. Anyway, that's enough. Ignore the haters. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Stay frosty.